Hi, my name is Kaitlyn Lusk, soloist with The Lord of the Rings live in concert. I hope you can join us on December 5th in Sofia as we start our journey through Middle Earth. Whether I am the favorite or not, I have sung this music for over 10 years now. I first sang The Lord of the Rings when I was 14, and I definitely could not have foreseen that 10 years later I would still be traveling the world as the soloist with Howard's music. But I must say that I have had this music grow up with me. I mean, it's been with me for many seasons, and my relationship with Howard and the team that has traveled all over the world. I mean, from Europe to South America to Australia to Asia. I mean, it's been such a blessing to be a part of The Lord of the Rings and to have Howard and his music be with me for what is over 10 years now. Working with Howard, the first time that I ever met him, I was invited by him as he was receiving an award with the Grammy Association, and I was invited by him to come sing the song Into the West. And before I met him, I don't know what I had expected, because I first was exposed to him, I mean, just in my room listening to his music, on the soundtracks. And so I wasn't necessarily starstruck, but I was so taken by how humble and truly gracious he is. You would never know that his artistry, I mean, the way he carries himself, he was just so nice and so easy to work with. I mean, we did concerts. He was conducting when we did performances in Cleveland with the Cleveland Symphony. That was the first time that I ever actually worked with him live on stage, and it was so amazing to be the soloist there with him, living and breathing. The composer breathed life into his score with this amazing orchestra, and to be surrounded by just the experience of all these amazing musicians with him. And I really appreciate how dedicated he's been, not only to his music, but the people who continue to bring his music to audiences all over the world. And I think that is what makes him so different from other composers, because his music is so detailed. And people ask me all the time, oh, do you ever get tired of singing The Lord of the Rings? Or, are you tired of it at all? And I, to this day, am not, because I am constantly discovering new things, new nuances, phrases. I mean, there's always something more detailed and another layer to his music that even after a decade, myself and the conductor and all the different conductors that I've actually worked with, there's always something new. So whether it's 10 years from now that, I'm still singing The Lord of the Rings, I mean, just to be able to have his music be a part of my career from its infancy, I definitely do not take for granted how much he and his music have really given. I think I have the best seat in the house, because I sit there on stage, and I have had times where literally my seat will shake from the amount of sound that is coming from the low brass section and the cellos and the bass. I mean, literally, to be able to sit there and not only be a part of the experience there on stage, but I get to watch the conductor react to all the musicians and the movie, and then I get to see, it could be 13,000 people. It could be in, we've been in Ravinia and Royal Albert Hall, Radio City. I mean, the venues that I've been able to sit there on stage and watch audiences react to not only the movie and the beautiful scenery that New Zealand kind of breathed into Tolkien's story, but I get to really experience the audience experience, like just the whole, it is a feast for the senses. I mean, you have the huge screen that's playing the movie and the dialogue and the musicians and the chorus and the soloists. I mean, everybody comes together, and in some moments where Howard's music will just literally leap from the pages. And I cannot say how amazing it is to be right there on stage in the center of all of it. I think one of the more difficult parts of the concert is making sure that, I mean, the conductor by far has the most difficult role to play, because he has to rein in 300 musicians, keep in sync with the movie, make sure that the tempos are right, the dynamics. I mean, all of what he has to be constantly paying attention to and monitoring and adjusting, and it's amazing how easy some conductors can kind of make it look, and really it's very difficult. And so even for me, as soloist, I think what makes our role in the show a little more difficult is that you'll sit there, the movies can be 3.5 hours long. I don't sing for 3.5 hours. I sing maybe a combined total of 15 minutes out of the whole time, but I have to, I'll sit there and have to come in, and in a moment like in the Fellowship, when Gandalf is when he falls, and I have to come in after sitting for probably like at least 35-40 minutes, come in and nail a high A flat. And if I miss that sweet, angelic, super high A flat, I will ruin live the entire experience for everyone there. And so there's that dynamic that you're not in a studio, you are there live, and if anything goes wrong, that movie keeps going and you keep going. So that's definitely the more difficult part for not only me, but everyone involved. Special instruments, soloists. I mean, you keep going. I think some of my favorite characters, I really love the dynamic between I call them the trio, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli. Because in the beginning of the Fellowship, you really get to experience the first moments of brotherhood that everybody kind of, they start off, they're so optimistic, and they're running across the mountain there, and as that trio, as the trilogy kind of continues, they have a lot of different comedic moments, and they're just so different. And I love being able to see the audience kind of react to Gimli's one-liners, and Legolas kind of showing off, and Aragorn not even having to try. But it's just really it's very cool to see that dynamic continue as the movie kind of grows throughout the arch of the story. And another character that I really appreciate, even though I don't sing in any of her moments, is Éowyn, because she by far is one of the characters that really has had her life most affected by the evil that is Sauron. I mean, she's had the death of her brother, she lost her father for a time, and eventually in the third movie, her father dies as well. And one of the best scenes is in that third movie where she kills the leader of the Nazgul, because everybody says that no man can kill the leader of the Nazgul, and she has her sword and she rips off her helmet and her hair is flying, and she says, "I am no man." And the audience, every time, women they just take off screaming, and it's great, just because you see her so empowered after all that she's been through. Just kind of stick it to them, One of the people who really makes this concert a success that you never even know he's there is the sound engineer. There are a lot of different layers of not only the dialogue and the musicians live on stage, the special instruments, the soloist, the soundtrack, or the levels of, the battle noises that are going on. He is constantly, manipulating and adjusting a little bit of the levels so that everything that you need to hear at any particular moment is heard. Like when you're in The Hobbit and you hear, the Hobbit band, or you have the moments where the dialogue, it's a quieter moment within the orchestra, and he'll bring that dialogue up. And so he's definitely one of the unsung heroes. And another more difficult behind the scenes element that the audience doesn't really see that much of, is the conductor keeping the movie in sync with the screen that he sees, and conducting completely on tempo with not only the monitor but the movie, and monitoring all of the orchestra to keep everybody on the exact same page at the exact same moment. And you'll come in, the conductor will have to do a particular cutoff or a certain entrance. And so, like as I said earlier, some conductors, and one of the conductors that I've worked the most with, Ludwig Vicky, he makes it look like, like he's just sitting there at home. He literally, it's amazing how difficult it is for them, but they do their thing. A lot of the moments that I sing are in Elvish, and oftentimes it is during the scenes where Arwen is on stage, or in the movie. And I am sort of the voice to the love story that her and Aragorn have. And I love that the more delicate moments of their intimacy, and just the how much he carries the love that he has for her as he takes this journey to grow into being the king. I definitely know that the Elvish that I sing is all very vowel oriented, and as a soprano, that is so it's sort of your money notes. You really get to have your the voice just really resonates within those vowels. And but I will say that the part that I really, in the end of the movie within the credits, I do all of the May It Be, or Gollum's song, or Into the West, and all of that is in English. And that's really, like, Gollum's song is probably one of my favorite moments out of the entire trilogy to sing, because you really get into this dark, sinister, evil character that's really makes Gollum what he is. And I love getting to get into that nitty-gritty text that is in that song. So I don't know, it's kind of a toss-up. I love being able to do all the Elvish, and people will ask, oh, do you speak Elvish? I'm like, no, I don't, but I sing it. I would say that this soundtrack and Howard's music is so, it's his music sings in the details. And whether it's you traveling through the Shire, or through Mordor, or through Lothlorien, the different themes that he created in the beginning, those continue to resurrect throughout the different moments within the trilogy, where you'll see Galadriel on stage. And so you may not be in Lothlorien, but you know that the music sings with her. And same with Arwen and Gollum, and all the special instruments that Howard used to bring the sort of more exotic differences between these different lands. And I mean, it's amazing how there's literally an entire book, huge book by Doug Adams, written about the different themes of the Lord of the Rings. And this is just one. I know it's 3 separate movies, but it's one story. So the fact that you have a composer who created this world and maintained that world throughout the continued creation of the movies, not only the trilogy, but The Hobbit, and the 3 movies that began in that trilogy. It's amazing what Howard did, and you see his artistry in a way that is unlike any other composer and any other piece that I've come across in film music. And 10 years later, people around the world still want to hear not only his music, but really be a part of this story. So it's amazing to have seen that dedication to The Lord of the Rings by the fans and Howard's fans. I think, I have been places that I never would have foreseen, and making music with people from very different backgrounds. I mean, Poland to Chicago, to Australia, to Asia, and to see the differences in the productions within the different cultures that we've been able to be a part of on those trips. I know that I think one of the more fun moments of the concert is when the audience, there'll be a certain moment on the movie where, it might be Legolas like swinging in down off the elephant and saving the day, or and you'll hear his fans kind of really start applauding. I mean, people will applaud during the movie, and it's not taken in a way that's, you shouldn't, that you shouldn't applaud during the concert. No, it's because they're that moved by the music and the story and the movie. They're just overwhelmed, and they want to express their, within that moment. And so it's really cool to see the audience and the fans react that way in a live concert, and it makes the camaraderie between not only the musicians on stage, but the camaraderie between the audience and the people who are bringing Howard's music to life really kind of marry at certain moments, So that's a really fun experience for me to be a part of, and then to have done it in certain venues. I mean, I will never forget sitting there at Royal Albert Hall, literally right in the middle of the entire stage. I mean, that was a place that was just, it was so special. And with the London Symphony Orchestra, I mean, oh my gosh, I was like, somebody pinched me, like, this is so cool. And, those moments they will resonate with me as a musician no matter where I go years later. I would say a message to a first-time Lord of the Rings viewer is just try to take in as much as you can. I think certain people have come and told me there were moments that I totally forgot that it was being done live, because you're used to seeing it in a theater and everything's, already been recorded and mastered. But people will get that absorbed into the production that they forget that it's literally second by second happening there live on stage. So I would just definitely make sure as an audience there are moments where, get lost in the movie, get lost in the story and the characters. That's our job as the people who make the music, is to make it feel like you're in the theater, but experiencing Howard's music in a way that you couldn't experience it in the theater. But definitely try to absorb as much as you can, because there's a lot going on.